The only real estate and rental property investing for beginners book you'll ever need. 2 books in one. Close your first deal, easily manage properties, and create financial freedom. Written by Andrew and Courtney James. Copyright 2024. Narrated by Michael Haytek. Part 1. The Power of Real Estate Investing. Introduction. Why are you here? Do you crave freedom? Do you want the ability to do what you want when you want without worrying if you have enough money or if your boss will let you take time off work? I know what you're going through because I've also been there, like many others. I used to dread clocking in not 1 minute later than 8 a.m. to do my job, catching up on emails regarding problems I didn't actually care about, sitting in on what seemed like the same meeting over and over again, and waiting in agony for my coveted lunch hour. And even after this hour of freedom, I go back to my desk and watch the time tick by as slowly as possible, as if it were mocking me and waiting for the most exciting part of my day, which was clocking out without any forced post-work gatherings to take up the rest of the evening. Then I'd peel out of the parking lot so I could complete a few necessary life tasks and, hopefully, still have time and energy at the end of the day to do something I enjoyed. But let's be honest, the day drained me so much that I usually ended up being too tired to do anything. Most of the time, I ended up cracking a few beers and watching Netflix before going to bed and doing it all over again. If any of this resonates with you, you are reading the right book, and there is a way out. If you want to leave your 9-to-5 job and finally be free to pursue the life of your dreams, it is possible. Imagine being able to book a flight on a moment's notice in the middle of the week, take your spouse on a 2-hour lunch date on a Tuesday, or spend the 40-plus hours you usually work and commute with your kids without having to worry about making ends meet or upper management breathing down your neck. This lifestyle is possible, even for the person who feels utterly stuck or far behind. The best way to do this is by building passive income and generating wealth through real estate investing. I know this because I used to loathe my life as an employee. Now I am a full-time real estate and business investor living the life of my dreams, and I want to help you live yours. So, if you want to dive into the world and endless possibilities of real estate investing, let's buckle up and get started. Chapter 1. How real estate investing can make ordinary people extraordinarily wealthy. The major fortunes in America have been made in land. John D. Rockefeller. Did you know that real estate investing has created 90% of the world's millionaires, and most started as beginners like you? The secret is that regular people are getting richer than ever using real estate investing, and you can too. You might wonder, if this is true, why don't more people invest in real estate? Well, there are many answers to that question. Some common reasons are that they don't think they can invest in real estate or know how to. However, the biggest reason seems to be that they believe they need tons of money, connections, or skills to get started. The good news is, this couldn't be further from the truth. Anyone can build a wealth-generating real estate portfolio with the correct knowledge and the drive to do so. What is real estate investing anyway? Simply put, it's the purchase, management, or sale of real estate, homes, buildings, land, etc., for a profit. There are many different types of real estate investments and just as many, if not more, ways to make money. This makes it a very flexible asset class to invest in that is also relatively easy to get started in. The average person can start with just one small investment and scale an extensive portfolio. They can do this relatively quickly or build it slowly over time depending on their goals. The sky really is the limit. So, how does real estate investing work? There are many ways that real estate investing can be done to generate wealth, but let's introduce the most common ways first. To start, There's rental property investing. This is where someone buys a property, commonly with a down payment and a bank loan, and manages it while tenants rent it out and pay down the mortgage for them. Not only is the mortgage being paid down by other people, but hopefully there is extra money left over from the rent payment after paying expenses to put in the investor's pocket every month. Most likely, the property is also increasing in value over time, making the investor even more of a return down the line. Imagine having tens or hundreds of these properties all operating at the same time. Probably the other most common way to build wealth through real estate is buying a property at or below its value, drastically renovating it to increase its value, and then selling it at a much higher price than what you bought it for and what you put into fixing it up. These are just two high-level examples of hundreds of ways to build wealth through real estate investing. While real estate can significantly increase your wealth, this is not some get-rich-quick scheme. It can take several years. You have to come into the real estate business with the mindset that it's a long-term strategy. This often involves commitment, patience, and being hungry to learn anything you can about real estate to become a better investor. Real estate investing has many other benefits beyond just wealth creation. Let's dive in to learn more. The secret sauce of real estate investing. While there are many benefits to real estate investing, there are 4 key elements to amassing significant wealth. All 4 of them, working together, are what make real estate a unique and powerful investment. These 4 elements are tax benefits, appreciation, cash flow, and leverage. I like to refer to them as the secret sauce of real estate investing. Let's take a closer look at each. Understanding tax benefits. Let's begin with property tax deductions. I'm starting with these because these tend to be some of the most expensive taxes a real estate investor will have. However, they are often tax deductible, which means you can reduce them on your tax bill. Plus, if you already own your primary residence, the house you live in, you can deduct a part of your property taxes too. Another tax benefit is mortgage interest deduction, where you can deduct your mortgage interest payments. So, all the interest you pay on your mortgage can be taken out of your tax bill. This is great because most of the time, you'll be taking out mortgages to purchase your properties. It might not seem like much, but this is considerable savings, especially when you start your career as a real estate investor and when your interest payments are higher. But perhaps one of the best tax benefits of real estate investing is depreciation. You can deduct the cost of acquiring a rental property over a certain period, which is usually 27.5 years or 39 years for residential and commercial property, respectively. This means that the depreciation expense can counterbalance your rental income, which reduces your tax bill. Then there's the 1031 exchange, also called the tax-deferred exchange. This is more of a strategy where you can defer capital gains on a property when you sell if you use that money to invest in a similar property. The capital gains tax is a tax on the profit from the sale of real estate. For instance, if you sell a 1-bedroom property and buy another one, any capital gains you've made with the sale can be deferred. This is a great way to continue to expand your real estate portfolio without a large tax bill. But more importantly, over a long period of time, the 1031 exchange can save you a lot of money. Besides the 1031 exchange, there's another way you can save on your tax bill with capital gains. When you sell a property, any profits you make is taxable under capital gains. But the tax rate for long-term capital gains, which is usually more than 1 year, tends to be lower than the regular income tax rate. It's important you understand and take advantage of these tax benefits once you start investing, because they can really enhance your profitability. However, even if you know all of this, nothing replaces a qualified tax professional to oversee your business and point out any issues or more tax benefits that you can leverage. This professional can also ensure that you stay within the law. Not that you'd ever be breaking it on purpose, but because it can accidentally happen if you don't fully understand what you're doing. Appreciation. Let's now have a closer look at what property appreciation entails. This is one of the best ways for you to generate wealth with property investments. Because of that, it's vital that you understand exactly how it works and how you can take advantage of it, especially if you want to build long-term financial stability. So, what exactly is appreciation? There are two types of appreciation: natural and forced. Natural appreciation is simply that, the natural tendency for prices to rise over time. While the price of everything goes up over time, you can also do your best to lean into natural appreciation by purchasing real estate in ideal locations. By choosing a property in a location that is or will soon be in an amazing neighborhood where there are good schools, a low crime rate, and great public transportation, the value of the property will tend to increase faster than others. But the market conditions, which are completely irrelevant to the property itself, are also an important factor. If the area of the property is prospering, that is, if the population, the economy, and job opportunities are growing, this will also influence the appreciation of the property. Forced appreciation, on the other hand, is the concept of improving a property to increase its value. For example, taking a 3-bedroom, 1.5-bath and turning it into a 4-bedroom, 2-bath will immediately increase its value. This is incredibly powerful for the average investor because they can directly improve their investment and make more money rather than banking on external factors they can't control, like they would in, say, the stock market. But why else does property appreciation matter so much for your real estate investments? Well, for one, it builds equity. This is because, as your properties appreciate, the discrepancy between the current market value and the amount you owe on your mortgage forms equity. You can use this equity by selling the property or remortgaging it. Either way, it provides you with the funds necessary for future investments. In other words, this appreciation can create leverage from your existing assets to acquire more properties. You can then use this higher equity in your properties as a down payment for new properties. As time passes, property appreciation can significantly increase your net worth. This is huge. Do the work once and watch your wealth grow over time. Cash flow and generating passive income. In simple terms, cash flow is the amount of income left in your business after all the expenses like your mortgage, insurance, repairs, etc. have been paid. It is the lifeblood of any rental property business and vital for success. Having a positive cash flow can also allow you to scale your business, meaning that for every property that you buy and rent out, this income increases, and due to inflation, it continues to increase while you pay the same mortgage, if you still have one. In turn, this means that your profit margins increase, as does your purchasing power. For example, if you have placed your money in a savings account, your purchasing power tends to decrease because even though there's interest associated with the account, this interest is usually lower than the rate of inflation. The amount of cash flow you can create largely depends on the property you have and the rental strategy you use. There are many different types of these strategies you can use, and you have to find one that works best for you. Short and long-term are the most popular ones. Long-term leases happen when you rent out your property for more than 6 months, while short-term leases are usually for less time. While long-term rentals often involve renting the property to tenants, short-term rentals usually involve Airbnb-ing your property, especially if your property is in a location where there are plenty of tourist attractions. However, keep in mind that if you're going to rent out your property for short-term stays, doing so usually involves a lot more maintenance and upkeep than long-term leases. Even so, you can charge more, meaning your rental income is often higher. Predicting the cash flow of a property can be difficult, but by using historical and industry data, you can get a realistic estimate of what it would be. We will get into the details of cash flow later in the book. However, if you can generate enough positive cash flow, you can reap the holy grail for most real estate investors: passive income. Passive income is one of the most sought after benefits of being a real estate investor and the central strategy of many. It refers to the income of money earned with almost no effort on your behalf, though it can provide you with financial security and freedom. I'm telling you, there's almost nothing as satisfying as getting a check month after month while doing very little to no work. As alluded to above, rental income is the main source of passive income in the real estate world. When you rent out a property, the rent paid by tenants comes every month. This is one of the most reliable sources of income in real estate because tenants have to pay rent if they want to live on the property. I cannot overstate how life-changing it is the first time you get paid rent rather than paying it or a mortgage. Leverage. Leveraging debt to build wealth is a very attractive part of real estate investing and is a great tool that will allow you to increase your potential returns by using the money you borrow to acquire properties that produce more income. Let's have a closer look at it. Leverage in the context of real estate investing is when you combine the capital you have and the funds that you borrow, usually in the form of a loan or a mortgage, to buy investment properties. The main goal here is to increase your returns. Leverage also means that you can utilize the power of other people's money, OPM, most commonly the banks or that of private investors. This is done by securing financing from lenders where you use a small amount of your own money to do it, which in turn frees up more of your available capital to put into improving the property or for anything else that you want to invest in. For example, let's say a property is priced at $300,000 and the bank is willing to lend me up to 80% off the asking price. In this case, the bank will lend me $240,000 in the form of a mortgage. This means that I only have to put $60,000 of my own money for a down payment. Basically, I'm paying $60,000 to get a $300,000 asset that will appreciate and be worth more in the future. If you're thinking you can never come up with $60,000 for a down payment, don't worry. This is just an example, and we'll be talking about ways to find and create little to no money down deals later in the book. But the real benefit here is that you can significantly amplify your returns on your own investments. For easy math, let's say you have $100,000 in cash to invest. Again, please don't worry if you don't. This is an example. You could simply use that money to purchase a property that would cost $100,000 right away. If in a year that property appreciated by 5%, you would have $5,000 more. But if you leverage, instead of buying the property with all the money you have right away, you leverage that $100,000 and use it for a down payment on a property that costs $500,000. If within a year that property appreciates the same 5%, you would have $25,000 more. That's $20,000 more by using the power of leverage. There are some considerations you have to take into account when you're leveraging debt. While it's a great strategy to increase your wealth, it's not without risks. For instance, it's vital that you can cover the mortgage payments and other expenses related to the rental. You also can't forget about the interest on your borrowed money. Moreover, think about market volatility, as real estate markets can fluctuate, and in some cases, properties might not appreciate for some time. Leverage use can increase your returns, but they can also increase your risk. So, make sure that you have a diversified portfolio to help you mitigate some of that risk. Leveraging debt is a wonderful long-term strategy to build wealth. As time passes, your properties appreciate, and with that, your rental income grows, so you can pay down the debt and accumulate significant wealth while your portfolio continues to produce income and stays diversified. Key takeaways. Real estate investing has created 90% of the world's millionaires, and you could be one of them. There are major tax benefits to real estate investing. Many successful investors pay less in taxes than most Americans, even though they typically make more income. Real estate has been a proven and reliable investment class, in large part due to appreciation, the natural or forced increase in value of the asset over time. Cash flow is king and the lifeblood of any business, including real estate. Leveraging debt is a powerful tool that allows you to buy expensive assets for a fraction of the cost. Tax benefits plus appreciation plus cash flow plus leverage equal the secret sauce to wealth building with real estate. Chapter 2: The top 5 real estate investments that can change your life. 90% of all millionaires became so through owning real estate. Andrew Carnegie. There are seemingly endless types of real estate investments, but 5 stand above the rest and have proven to be an approachable vehicle for ordinary people to become rich. Each category has its own pros and cons, so it will be your job, in line with your business plan, to choose the best option for your real estate investing journey. One of the best parts of real estate investing is its flexibility. You can change your strategy along the way or employ many at once. It is, however, best to choose one strategy to get started with and stick to it for a while before switching or adding more. Let's dig deeper into each of these top 5 investment types to help you understand which may be more aligned with your goals as you begin your path in real estate. Residential real estate. Residential real estate is a simple entry point for any new investor. It's popular because it has a lower barrier to entry regarding both cost and knowledge. Even seasoned investors who go into other real estate industries sometimes include residential properties in their portfolios because they understand the value of diversification. As you might expect, residential real estate refers to properties meant for people to live in. It has distinct advantages that we will discuss, along with the various types of properties within this category. These properties are everywhere, as everyone needs a place to live. They consist of single-family homes, townhouses, mobile homes, condominiums, apartment buildings, and multifamily properties such as duplexes, triplexes, and quadplexes. Advantages of real estate property. So, what are the benefits of owning residential property? To start, these real estate assets have a continuous market demand level, making this category less volatile than others. However, it is essential to realize that variations are still possible. Residential properties are appealing because they have this particular characteristic of diversifying your real estate portfolio. You can buy any of them, including multifamily units, condominiums, and single-family houses. Also, residential buildings have the benefit of providing consistent long-term rental revenue. Furthermore, they have higher appreciation rates than other real estate categories, allowing for the progressive expansion of your wealth over time. As a real estate investor and an investor in general, you must often give up on different investments for various reasons. Residential properties are one of the simplest, most reliable, safest, and steadiest ways to build wealth. You can profit from these properties by renting, holding, fixing, and selling them. This type of property is also much easier to finance than the ones I'll discuss later in this section. This is because residential properties have significantly more financing choices than other types of assets. Disadvantages of residential property. While residential properties might be more resistant to the changes in the market, they are also vulnerable to more significant economic cycles. Because of this, thorough research is required before making this sort of purchase. On top of this, managing these properties can take a significant amount of time. If you don't have a property manager, you have to interact with and manage tenants yourself. You will face tenant-related concerns such as background checks, resolving maintenance requests, rent payment issues, random appliances and equipment breaking, etc. There's also the property's upkeep, which must be done regularly to keep it in excellent condition and attract higher quality renters. There's also the dreaded vacancy issue. If someone isn't paying you rent to live in the property, you still have to pay the mortgage on time and out of pocket, and your cash flow decreases. So it's essential to account for an appropriate vacancy rate in your financial analysis for when these things happen before you even buy the deal. Finally, the landlord-tenant laws, which may be complicated at times, apply to residential premises. Regulations can differ by location, so it's crucial to know the rules you must follow, especially regarding evictions, squatters' rights, etc. While these disadvantages may seem scary, don't let them stop you. There are many ways to mitigate the risk of these situations, plan for them, and strategize ways to handle them, which we will go through later in this book. Commercial real estate. Commercial real estate is considered a step above regarding the complexity and cost of investment. Commercial properties cater to businesses. When it comes to tenants, while leases might take a little longer to be drawn, you can expect tenants to stay there longer, which allows you better cash flow. When it comes to commercial real estate, there's a lot more diversity. You have office buildings, industrial facilities, or warehouses, for example. Nonetheless, the cost to invest in these properties is higher than the amounts you might be used to seeing in residential properties. Let's look at the various types of commercial real estate. Office buildings are among the most common and are self-explanatory. They can serve as workspaces for single or many tenants and range in size from small offices to towering skyscrapers. These spaces can be filled by anyone, from a lawyer's office to a mortgage company, marketing firm, etc. Retail properties include malls, shopping centers, freestanding stores, and restaurants, another common commercial real estate category. They are all structured to cater to businesses that directly service consumers, including clothing stores, grocery stores, daycares, and so on. Warehouses or industrial buildings, such as manufacturing facilities, distribution centers, and others, are other commercial options. These are typically integrated into logistics hubs to facilitate the movement or creation of products. Hotels and other hospitality properties are also classified as commercial real estate. They include, as previously mentioned, hotels, motels, bed and breakfast, resorts, or any other sort of lodging facility. Then we have multifamily apartment complexes, which, while residential, can also be considered commercial real estate if they have 5 or more units. Lastly, there are commercial buildings known as special purpose properties, which are created for highly unique uses. They vary from educational institutions to healthcare facilities and even religious institutions. Advantages of commercial real estate. There are plenty of benefits when it comes to investing in commercial real estate, but here are the 6 major ones. 1. There's a much higher income potential because commercial properties often charge higher rents than residential properties. 2. Commercial properties with an excellent location might also appreciate more than residential properties. 3. There is potential for much higher quality tenants with solid finances, which reduces the risk of tenants not paying rent or damaging the property. 4. Commercial tenants tend to have much longer leases, which allows you to have much more stable rental income. 5. These properties can have triple net leases where tenants take care of bills like maintenance, insurance, and property taxes. However, for this to happen, you typically charge tenants a lower rent. 6. Suppose you have specialized assets or the ability to build to suit. In that case, you can attract tenants that, in turn, sign leases with higher rents and stay far longer than traditional commercial tenants. For example, let's say the USDA is looking for office space. They want to rent out your property, but need the space renovated to meet specific requirements from the government. If you can meet their specifications, the USDA will likely pay you a high rent, sign a 10-plus year lease, and renew this long lease. Disadvantages of commercial real estate. Despite all these advantages, commercial properties have certain downsides that must be carefully considered. One such disadvantage is the significantly higher initial expenditure necessary to invest in these properties. Purchasing a commercial property is frequently more expensive than buying a residential home, so a thorough understanding of deal analysis, financing, market trends, and a pulse on the local business ecosystem is essential to making effective investment decisions. Also, keep in mind that the agreements for commercial leases tend to be more complex than those for residential properties. It's always best to bring in an attorney specializing in commercial leases. The same goes for the upkeep of your commercial property, which often requires more specialized professionals to work on it. Raw land investments. Depending on what you do with it, raw land investments can range from very simple to being the most complex type of real estate investment out there. The two simple ways of making money with land investment are to buy and hold the property or rent it out as is. The buy and hold strategy is when an investor purchases a plot of land, keeps it for years, and sells it for a much higher price years or decades later. The other simple way to capitalize on raw land is to rent it out. This can be as simple as renting your land to farmers to grow their crops, or as complex as renting to large companies like McDonald's, for instance, that want to build a location on your land. In situations like this, the company usually rents the land, but pays to erect the building themselves. So, when do raw land investments get complicated? One word: developments. Many investors love this strategy, which is when investors take raw land and turn it into residential or commercial property by building on it. This commitment, however, adds a layer of intricacy and understanding that demands prior experience. And I'll emphasize that raw land may only be profitable if you have the necessary expertise. If you turn this land into a residential or commercial property, you will face a lengthy building period, significant upfront financial obligations, and the need to wait for eventual sales or tenant occupancy. In addition, a large amount of bureaucratic red tape and effort is required. Still, investors love this strategy because they have almost total control over it. They can build anything they want the way they want it. However, there are things you have to consider, such as location. That will help you choose what you should build. Also, depending on the area, you can build any property from residential to commercial, or even more specialized properties if you get it appropriately zoned. Although there's more risk in this strategy of developing raw land, investors love to seize on these opportunities because when done correctly, they can make a killing off these deals. Advantages of raw land investments. An obvious advantage of these investments is your creative control over what you can do with them. The possibilities are almost endless. You can build the property you have envisioned. If it's well located, it can have great potential for appreciation, just like residential or commercial properties. A lesser-known benefit to land investments is that you will pay little to no property taxes on your undeveloped land until a property is built, so your holding costs are much cheaper than purchasing an existing property. And finally, when executed correctly, investors can make significant money from developing residential or commercial properties on land they purchase. Disadvantages of raw land investments. Like anything else, these investments also come with disadvantages and risks, as you might imagine. For instance, local zoning laws and regulations can significantly impact what you can do with the land. They can stop you from building a commercial or residential property altogether, for instance. Before buying raw land, you should inform yourself and do thorough research on what you can and can't build. Also, when it's time to build a property, the costs can be steep. This process is called developing the land, and you don't only have to buy materials and personnel to build it, you also need to pay for a myriad of things before you can build anything there. For instance, you may need to purchase utility installation, grading, environmental assessments, permitting fees, or road construction. You also have to consider the current market conditions when you expect to buy raw land, because this timing can affect its value. Another thing that you need to consider is access to infrastructure such as electricity, water, or sewers. which might increase the price even more if you have to install all of that. REIT investing. REIT investing, which stands for Real Estate Investment Trust Investing, is a great way to enter the real estate industry. A REIT is a company solely aiming to manage, own, or finance real estate properties to generate income. In other words, you can look at REIT as a stock investment because stock is traded there, similar to a mutual fund dedicated to real estate. This way, you can buy shares of properties without purchasing, managing, financing, or paying a down payment on them. Because they are like stocks, REITs are far more liquid than actually investing in a property. You can simply sell the shares and get money in your account, which doesn't happen as fast when you sell a property. This usually demands a lengthy process. REIT investments can apply to any property, from residential to commercial and anything in between. While most REITs specialize in real estate investment, there are a few specialized REITs that hold specific types of properties if you want to diversify your portfolio. That being said, let's quickly go over the main types of REITs you can find. There's a market for REITs, companies that lend money to real estate owners through mortgage or loans, whose earnings mainly come from net interest margins. Equity REITs, on the other hand, are more common. These companies often own and manage income-producing properties, so their income comes from rent, which often comes in monthly dividends as if you were receiving rent when you own a property. Then there are hybrid REITs, a mix of the two above. While these are the main types of REITs, they can also be divided into subgroups, such as publicly traded REITs, which you often find in the stock market. Public non-traded REITs, which don't trade in exchanges but are still registered with the SEC, and private REITs, which only institutional investors have access to. If you're starting out, publicly traded REITs are the easiest to start investing in. You can simply do this by having a brokerage account and purchasing shares of the REIT. Unlike individual company stocks, REITs tend to not grow in value as much, but pay dividends instead. Advantages of REITs. I've mentioned some advantages of REITs, such as being highly liquid, but there's more. Investing in REITs can expand your portfolio's diversification, even if you're just a real estate investor. You can invest in different properties you wouldn't otherwise invest in. Furthermore, cash flow is stable because you receive dividends, and you don't have to worry about screening tenants, so you know you will receive money from the REIT regardless. Lastly, REITs are flexible when it comes to adjusting your risk. Disadvantages of REITs. As I've pointed out, don't expect a lot of growth from REITs, mainly because that's not really their way of operating, as any surplus they get is distributed in the form of dividends. Also, the dividends you receive are taxed as regular income and are often associated with high transaction fees, though this depends on the REIT you buy shares from. Tax liens. Tax lien investing is often overlooked by real estate investors. What is a tax lien anyway? Essentially, a tax lien is a legal claim against a business or individual's assets when they failed to pay taxes to the government. If the obligation to pay is not fulfilled, the creditor can repossess the assets. However, as a private investor, these claims can be traded and exchanged, and you can generate profit from those transactions. Of course, as with any investment, there are risks, and you must understand the rules. In simpler terms, if a homeowner fails to pay their property taxes, the local government can place a lien on the property, which, as we've seen, is a legal claim. The home can only be refinanced or sold once the debt is paid. When there's a lien, a tax lien certificate is issued, which shows the amount of debt plus any interest added. These certificates can then be auctioned off to investors. When investors acquire the certificate, they must pay back the total amount immediately. Then the homeowner must pay the investor all the money they invested plus interest, often between 10 and 25%. Keep in mind that there's usually a repayment schedule between 6 months and 3 years. The legal claim comes in if the homeowner fails to repay their lien. If this happens, the owner of the tax lien, in this case the real estate investor, has a legal claim to the property, and it is now theirs to do with what they wish. The investor can then get paid with either a 10 to 25% interest payment or an entirely new property to keep, sell, or rent out. This can be a huge investment opportunity. Advantages of tax lien investing. Tax liens can see a higher rate of return than the stock market, anywhere between 10 to 25%. They are secure investments as they are in first position, meaning they get first priority to be paid out. They are also more affordable to get started in, and they don't require as much of a learning curve as other types of investing. Once you lock in a certain interest rate for your lien, that is what you get. Another big advantage of these investments is they are paid out by the government rather than by individuals or companies, so they're enforced by law and not as subject to fraud. Disadvantages of tax lien investing. You have no control when the taxes are paid, which means you might have to wait a long time to get paid yourself. Another risk is that the rules and regulations vary county by county, so some might sell liens for properties with little to no value. As a result, you really have to do your due diligence with the county you are buying from. Lastly, there's not a ton of information available on tax lien investing or resources to learn about this topic. Most people don't know much about it because tax lien investors prefer to stick to themselves to keep the competition out. Key takeaways. Residential real estate is the most common and often easiest way to get started in real estate investing. Commercial real estate costs more to invest in than residential real estate, but often has higher rents, longer leases, and higher quality tenants. Raw land investments that are development deals are complicated, high risk, and high reward deals that can pay off exponentially with the right approach. These investments are not beginner friendly. REITs are the easiest way to invest in real estate as no property management is involved. Tax liens are one of the best kept secrets in real estate investing. They allow you to pay someone's unpaid taxes for them and get paid back before even the banks and the government or you get to keep the property. Regardless of which of these 5 types of investments you choose, due diligence is absolutely essential. It's the only way you can mitigate any financial losses and the only way you can make the right decisions. In the following chapter, we will go through various investing strategies in depth. I will focus on the most common ones and give you advice on how you can choose the one that suits you best. Chapter 3. The Swiss Army Knife of Real Estate Investing and the Best Investment Strategies. Real estate is an imperishable asset, ever increasing in value. It is the most solid security that human ingenuity has devised. It is the basis of all security and about the only indestructible security. Russell Sage. A Swiss Army knife is the world's gold standard of pocket knives, known for its reliability, versatility, and durability. This iconic tool is essentially the right tool for any job. It can help solve just about any problem and can even save those in an emergency. So, what is the Swiss Army knife of real estate investing? Your brain. It's all the knowledge you have about real estate investing. You may be thinking that you don't know much yet about this topic, so you don't have much of a Swiss Army knife. However, the best part is that anyone can develop and learn about the ins and outs of real estate investing for little to no money invested. You don't have to have an expensive degree, a fancy job, or a network of exclusive people. The education needed for real estate investing is accessible through the internet, books, conferences, networking, organizations, etc. You can learn about the different investing strategies to employ, the intricacies of a specific property type, the multitude of ways to finance a deal, the details of the local laws and ordinances in your area, the little known ways to use the tax code to your advantage. You name it, you can learn it. The sky is the limit. And the more you learn, the more tools you will have at your disposal to solve just about any problem that comes your way. At the end of the day, that's what real estate investors are: problem solvers. One of the best tools you can have as an investor is a thorough knowledge of the varied investment strategies. Knowing about all of them will allow you to be as flexible as possible when issues arise or when you need to pivot. They can help you see big money-making opportunities that other people can't. So, let's get into the most popular investment strategies. The fix and flip. The fix and flip is perhaps the most popular strategy investors start with outside of rental property investing. With this strategy, investors purchase a property below market value, renovate it to increase its value, and sell it at market value. These properties are typically distressed or need much fixing to make them attractive. So, an investor needs to have a vision of what the end project will look like, how much it will cost to complete the project, and how much they can sell the property for to cover their purchase and renovation costs and to make a profit. Many people are afraid to invest in ugly-looking properties or ones with more significant issues beyond cosmetic ones. However, when executed correctly, this strategy can be highly profitable. So why doesn't the owner do it themselves to make money off their property? And typically, the owners of these properties are not investors, so they don't know how or even that they can. Even if they did, they may not have the money, time, or desire to renovate it themselves. This is good for investors because most of the time, these owners want to get rid of their property as fast as possible, so they are willing to sell quicker and at a much lower price. However, fix and flip is easier said than done. Significant research is needed when dealing with distressed properties. Doing an in-depth financial analysis and careful due diligence is required before purchasing these properties to ensure you accurately budget your finances and time to avoid losing money on the deal. It's vital to account for all that could go wrong or not according to plan because, by nature of the business, it will. On the flip side, if these properties do not require considerable changes and you can't increase their value enough, you'll get little or no profit from the sale. Foreclosures are the most common type of distressed property. These occur when property owners default on their mortgages, causing the bank or another financial organization that granted the loan to repossess the property. Because of this, such properties are often more affordable. In other cases, foreclosure homes might not require renovations. This is great for investors because they can sell them at a higher price without incurring remodeling costs. Imagine how great that would be. There are also short sales, which happen when the owner sells the property at a lower price than that of the comparable properties in a given market. This can happen because of numerous circumstances, but the most common is simply because the seller wants to complete the sale as soon as possible. Nonetheless, it presents an excellent opportunity for those looking to buy. Another instance of when this might occur is through auctions, where you can find properties to buy at a lower price. With the fix and flip strategy and the real estate business in general, networking is essential. This is because having connections with developers or real estate agents allows the opportunity to get off-market deals, meaning these properties have yet to be put on the market for everyone to see. As a result, you can negotiate a lower price for them. Improvements and renovations. While sometimes you don't need to renovate the property that much to increase its value, most of the time you do. And there are many different things you might need or want to do to accomplish that. The best improvements that can increase a property's value are simple cosmetic upgrades, such as a fresh coat of paint on the outside wall, interior renovations such as flooring, or exterior changes such as landscaping. These are great because they often make a big difference at a small cost to the investor. Then there are structural repairs that are usually more expensive and essential. For instance, there may be roof and foundation repairs or any other structural issues vital to the property. Some improvements fall in between cosmetic upgrades and structural repairs. Remodeling the kitchen or bathroom, or adding a room or usable square footage, is a substantial improvement that could significantly boost the property's value. This increases the property's worth and makes it more attractive, so more people may be interested in buying it, thus increasing its demand as well. Other things that can increase property value include improving energy efficiency or updating essential systems such as HVAC and electrical installations. Keep in mind that it is critical to ensure that any upgrade or renovation complies with local building rules and that necessary licenses are secured. What to consider financially. To execute a fix and flip properly and successfully, you must take into account a few financial considerations. Keep in mind the following things while creating your financial plan. First, you must factor in the property's purchasing cost. You should buy the property for a price lower than its current market value. The lower the buying price, the greater the potential upside, and the more wiggle room you have for mistakes. You also have to think about the renovation budget. The goal here is to guarantee that you can still make a significant profit when the home sells after deducting both the purchase and remodeling costs. Minimizing delays or cost overruns during renovation will be critical to your success. If you can get enough financing for the purchase and renovation, it can help you immensely in the event unexpected costs and delays arise. These things happen all the time. Again, the purchasing cost and renovations have to be lower than what you sell the property for to profit from the investment. To know the price you should sell the renovated property for, you must research the local market and check comps, comparable properties in the area. For example, if you buy a one-bedroom and plan to make it into a two-bedroom, research how much two bedrooms in the same area are going for. Challenges and risks of the fix and flip strategy. Of course, there are challenges and risks to every investment strategy. Market fluctuations always happen, so they are a risk regardless of your plan. This is mainly due to the normal movements of the economy, which can be up or down at any given moment. Even specific local market conditions can affect the price of properties. However, there are three main challenges when undertaking a fix and flip. Let's take a closer look at them. Estimating the scope of the project. Properly assessing what is needed to improve a property is imperative to a successful fix and flip. This information forms the baseline for everything else. If you can figure out precisely what needs to be done and who will be doing it, you can plan much more accurately for your budget and timeline while lowering the risk of not making your target profit. Besides knowing what needs to be done to the actual property, you also need to learn about any external factors like zoning requirements, permits, ordinances, or tax laws. You also need to determine if you want to put some sweat equity in the deal and personally paint rooms and tear down walls, or if you want to hire contractors or companies to do a partial or complete renovation. If you have the skills and time to do a lot of the renovation yourself, your profit margin will be much higher. Some investors love doing renovations themselves while others don't. Not everyone has the skills or time to do it themselves, so they have to hire everything out. Estimating costs. Estimating costs for a renovation can be tricky. If you set a budget to use for your renovations, but in reality it costs more than what you budgeted, this can mean that your profit margins will sink. Trying to guess how much money you need without making sound calculations can be quite expensive in the real estate industry. This is why accurately estimating the project scope and planning it ahead of time is so important. First, having an accurate understanding of what needs to be done to the property lowers the chances of an expensive surprise that will eat up all your profits, or worse, put you in debt. Second, you'll have a much more accurate picture of the total renovation cost. So it is vital to decide beforehand if and what you will do yourself and what parts you are hiring out. There are a lot of questions that need to be answered before you get into a deal like this. Do you need a plumber, roofer, electrician, or carpenter? How much do they typically charge for what you need to be done, and how long will it take? How do these things impact your bottom line and overall strategy? To reiterate, if you have the skills and time to do a lot of the renovation yourself, your profit margin will be much higher. However, don't think you have to do this to make a lot of money. Many investors hire everything out and still make a lot of money at the end of a fix and flip. It's all about accurately planning and executing the project. When planning the finances for your project, you'll have to consider more than just the renovation. Acquiring the property is the first cost and usually the most expensive. And while you might come across low or no money down financing claims, these can often be false. So when you do come across such claims, there are a few things that you should consider. For instance, while the interest on borrowed money can be deducted from your tax return, it's not 100% deductible. This means that every penny you spend on interest adds to the amount you will have to earn on the sale. Also, if you get a mortgage or even a HELOC, home equity line of credit, to finance your investment, remember that only the interest is deductible. Everything else like taxes, insurance, or principal is not. When beginning with a fix and flip strategy, there are ways to limit your financial risk and maximize your potential return. In other words, avoid overpaying for the property and ensure you know how much the necessary renovations will be before investing in that property. Here you can use the 70% rule, which dictates that you shouldn't pay more than 70% of the property's after repair value, ARV, minus any necessary repairs. The ARV is what the property is worth after the renovations are done. Here's an example. Let's say the property's ARV is $200,000 and the repairs are $30,000. You shouldn't pay more than $110,000, as 200,000 times 0.70 equals $140,000 minus 30,000 equals $110,000. Of course, sometimes you have to pay a little more for renovations because of unforeseen circumstances, but calculating the ARV is a good way to narrow down how much you should pay for a property. While correctly estimating a fix and flip budget can be difficult, it's not impossible. Estimating time. Nailing down an accurate timeline for fix and flips is just as challenging. Not having enough time budgeted is one of the biggest mistakes new real estate investors make with this strategy. While this method is relatively faster than buy and hold to make profits, it's still time-consuming and often takes more time to see it through. Once you are the property owner, you have to either do or oversee the renovations, which can take a lot of time. Going through the average processes means demolition, which is common, and construction. Once the renovations are done, you still need to inspect the property and ensure everything is in order. Otherwise, you will have to spend more time and money fixing it. Also, unexpected delays happen during renovations all the time. Whether a particular contractor is behind deadline, the delivery of parts is delayed, or there's a required specific local permit that you were unaware of, issues tend to pop up when you least expect them. Lastly, there's the selling of the property, which can also take more time than investors think. While many of these challenges seem frustrating and scary to a new investor, they are par for the course. The important thing is allocating enough cushion time for the project without losing money.